From One of One Production Studios, broadcasting from NYC, you are listening to Unexpected Success with your host, Joy.
Hey, what's up? In the studio today, we have Jude Ken-Kwofie, senior engineer and architect, and fortunately for us, a blockchain and cryptocurrency enthusiast. Thank you, Jude, for coming today.
Hey, thank you, Joy, for having me. Excited to be here.
Good. So just to kind of keep you guys abreast of what's happening and who Jude is. Like Jude has been, I've worked with Jude, I guess, for the past, four or five years, fortunately. And he has been kind enough to take me along his journey through learning more about blockchain and cryptocurrency and educating me and hopefully you, right, on how to invest in the technology. I'm not sure. Hopefully the listeners have been kept abreast of what's happening in terms of Bitcoin and Ethereum and Ripple and so many different coins now. I mean, how many coins are now being traded?
There's at least over 1,300 or so.
It's insanity.
Right.
So we can just kind of like take step by step and just kind of educate the audience on what blockchain is, how blockchain affects crypto, and also, how people can kind of jump in without necessarily spending. I mean, I didn't even look to see what Bitcoin was worth today.
Right.
But I mean, it's probably no less than like $8,000, right? I mean, $9,000.
Right.
For one.
Right. For one token. So.
Right.
I mean, if we step back, all this started, this whole cryptocurrency craze started with this technology called distributed ledger technology.
Right.
Also known as blockchain.
Right.
So the simplest way to describe it.
Wait, before I do that, right? Before we just jump right into it, who are you, right? So I know that you're a blockchain enthusiast and blockchain, and so obviously you're a engineer and an architect, and so by any normal standards, someone would look at you and say, well, how did you become a unicorn, right? I mean, here you are a successful architect and engineer, and you specialize in big data and Java and all these kind of back-end technologies.
Right.
But I just kind of want to find out, more about like your upbringing, like where you from, and how you came to this place.
So, I'm the proud child of two Ghanaian parents.
From Ghana, right?
From Ghana. And I'm the last born of three sons. And I primarily grew up in New Jersey, northern New Jersey, in Hoboken.
Okay.
And the Ghanaian culture is one of, hard work, like other cultures. It's one of respecting your elders, but it's also one of being thankful for what you have and the opportunity that you have.
Right.
So my dad, growing up in Ghana, in the colonized Ghana under British rule, had a tough upbringing, and also my mom. But my dad was very hardworking, taught himself to be an accountant, and managed a way to bring the family to the States.
Okay.
So my dad knew from hard work and educating yourself, having the passion to learn, you can do better.
Right.
And extend that passion to your children and extended family. So I grew up with that mindset that
hard work,
have a passion, have a dream, and educate yourself.
And the importance of family.
Okay. So with that upbringing and with my passion for technology and always wanting to learn facts and figures about information and math and engineering, I got to this point in life.
So you were always really good in math and science, is that right?
Yeah, so I've always, from early childhood, did pretty well in math and science. And in engineering background, particularly you need that skill set to have a decent academic career.
Okay.
So,
all right. And so what led you to, computer programming? What led you to, why weren't you like a mathematician, or why weren't you an accountant like your dad? Like what led you to start coding?
So when I was a teenager, around that time is when Windows 95 came out, came out, and my dad scraped some money together and bought the family PC.
So cool.
And around that time, it's like, you're reading through the manuals, and you're like, wait a minute, I could type a bunch of these commands, basic commands, and make a circle. Or apply stuff in my math class and draw a figure on the screen. So I realized...
I remember those classes, actually. I didn't really do well in those classes.
Right. Well, I was fascinated by those classes because I can give these instructions to this computer.
Right. And make whatever it is that you wanted.
Right. So I thought of like, this is the perfect tool to take any creative idea I had and bring it into fruition. So programming, learning a language and understand that language so you can instruct the computer to do something always fascinated me. And I just kept with that track.
Awesome. And I guess how old were you when your dad brought this PC in the house?
I remember harassing him. So this is like 95. I was probably like in my first or second, third year of high school.
Okay.
So I was, approaching 16, 17. And, we had a humble upbringing. My dad was paying for us to go to like Catholic school and all this. So
yeah.
For him to like save enough money to buy like, a decent desktop computer was a big deal.
Was a big deal.
Yeah.
And did your brothers take advantage of the computer as well?
Well, the middle brother was into sports. He was a professional soccer athlete, so he didn't care for the computer. He was like, "What are you doing?"
Right. But obviously, if he was professional, he excelled at whatever.
He excelled at his dream, his passion. And then the eldest brother was also an accountant, so he also took advantage of the computer as well.
Oh, awesome.
But for all three of us, it was an idea of like, what's your dream? What's your passion? Go with it.
Okay. All right, cool. So now we have that background. I guess talk to me about when you became interested in blockchain, because specifically I remember you and I having a discussion maybe, 6 months ago.
Right.
And you were, kind of playing around with the idea of, moving on to a new role and doing something else, right? And so you mentioned that you were open to going to finance companies. Specifically, you wanted to do blockchain. So when did you, I guess, become aware of this whole blockchain opportunity?
So I got the bug, pretty late for the people who are really into cryptocurrency. So I got the bug around 2015, 2016.
Okay.
The early adopters.
When most people hadn't even heard anything about blockchain.
Right. But the early enthusiasts, you're talking about like 2009, 2010, 2011, right? And why did I get into it? Because if you think about it, the technology is based on the idea of peers having a copy of this spreadsheet or ledger. Okay.
All right. So can you come again?
So,
all right. I know. I understand that because we've discussed this ad nauseum, and you actually showed me a real live, image of what you mean.
Right.
But blockchain is different because.
Blockchain is different because typically our systems are centralized, meaning that there's one authority or a group of entities who control the data, who control the technology.
Right. So give me a real life example.
A simple example is Facebook.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Or Google. So if I wanted to leverage Google's search functionality, I have to rely on Google's network of computers to perform a search.
Right.
Another example is if I want to see my account balance for my local bank.
Right.
I have to use their systems to see my balances and to do financial transactions.
Okay, those are perfect examples.
Right.
Now, blockchain is different in that how does that look different for blockchain?
The key difference is that, in those early examples, it's centralized. Meaning there's an agency, an authoritative agency
and
that's controlling a company that's controlling every aspect of this service.
Right.
With different technology. Blockchain is different in the sense is that it's based on the idea of a decentralized network where copies of the data reside on different computers.
Okay.
Okay? Meaning that if one node of this network goes down, I can still get to my information. So an example is like, say I bank with Chase. If
Okay.
Chase were to get hacked,
Right.
I can lose
Everything.
everything. We heard examples of Target getting hacked.
Right.
Right.
Equifax. I mean,
Equifax,
everyone's getting,
right.
yeah.
So when you have your information, when you trust a central authority to hold your information, you're basically entrusting
You're
them.
at their mercy.
You're at their mercy, and if they get hacked, if something happens to them or whatever, you can lose your important personal information.
Correct. And blockchain is different in that there's no central authority that you're at the mercy of. So then who owns it?
No one truly owns the chain. Okay? Everyone has access to the chain, and you entrust a group of nodes called miners to solve, in the Bitcoin sense, to solve a puzzle to get information on the chain. But no one owns the chain.
Okay.
It's totally decentralized.
So
right?
essentially you own your own wallet.
You own your own wallet. It's basically the idea that the community is allowing this ledger to be copied across all these different computers.
So here it is. I want to purchase a Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
I want to purchase a Bitcoin. And so when I make that purchase, it goes onto a ledger.
When you make that purchase, it goes onto this ledger or spreadsheet. Everyone who's part of the network eventually gets a copy of that transaction. Everyone can attest that Joy has purchased Bitcoin. It could be a computer node here where we are today, or it could be a computer node in Russia or in Africa. Eventually, everyone has a copy.
Will know that I purchased this Bitcoin.
So what's the advantage here? Is total transparency. Okay? Another fact is that if the nodes in Africa get hacked or go down, I still have that history of you performing that transaction. Whereas in our early examples of, say, of a Target or a major central authority where it get hacked,
It's gone.
It could be gone.
Right. Even if you have like records where I can say, you know, if Chase gets hacked and I had $5,000 in the bank, but it's now gone. I guess if I had like a bank statement that said I had $5,000, there's no way that I can prove that I left that $5,000 in before it got hacked.
Right. Right. And
right.
then
okay, I get that.
Ensure that there's probably a way to redeem that and get your money back because they have insurance and stuff like that.
Right. But ultimately, it gives you more autonomy over your assets.
So the whole point is that I'm not entrusting somebody else to manage my finances, to manage my information.
And what's the advantage to this? Why are people so going crazy over cryptocurrency? What's the advantage of decentralizing assets?
The key advantage is this, and we've alluded to it a couple of times, is that I am not relying on any government, on any central authority to control important aspects of my life. I'm taking the control. This technology, these cryptocurrencies, these tokens are giving me the facility to manage my personal information, to manage my finances. Because the idea is that I don't trust any other participants in this network.
So it's kind of like, you know, like how my grandparents would hide money in the mattress, right? Like it gives you the ability kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you hide money in the mattress and it's like your...
But let's think about it another way, right? We haven't spoken about, now I could pay stuff. I could buy things with these tokens.
Right. So, all right. So I do know one website in particular, fancy.com. Fancy accepts Bitcoin for payment. But I don't know any other, you know, retailers.
It's funny enough, I was in downtown Jersey City the other day, and I could have bought 2 slices of pizza and a Coke with Bitcoin.
That's crazy. See, I haven't seen that.
Right.
I haven't really seen that.
I mean, in the city, there are Bitcoin ATMs.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, not to say...
So it is becoming quite popular.
It's becoming quite popular, but I think... To be fair,
so give me. So what do you think? Are you a big fan of Bitcoin? Would you go out and
I think first let me say that as a disclaimer, I'm not I'm not advocating the purchase of financial securities.
Right. You're gonna go with it.
Right.
Disclaimer.
Okay. So, but do I believe Bitcoin as a mechanism to trade and to buy goods and services? It has a shot of being sustained for the time, for the future. But I think more importantly is that people out there should really focus on the technology behind these cryptocurrencies, the blockchain.
Okay, so if one of our listeners wants to, get in the business of blockchain, but does not want to invest $8,500 or $9,000 to buy a Bitcoin, what would you suggest someone do?
So the way it typically works, how I typically approach it is that there's a bunch of websites out there, we can mention them, and there's a lot of projects out there based around this technology. And what you do is that you look for projects that you think make sense, that you would actually use the service.
When you say projects, do you mean coins or do you mean...
Actual services, projects built around the concept of using this coin as a utility to facilitate transactions on this particular network. So, for example, there's a project called Storage. It's a decentralized version of, say, like Amazon S3. Okay. So today, a lot of companies use Amazon S3 to save information.
Right.
Okay, it's like cloud storage.
Right.
Storage.
Is that AWS?
It's AWS. AWS as a service to store information.
Right.
But that's all centralized. Okay. Now, what if, God forbid, something happens to AWS and you have important information stored there? You can lose it. Or it can be hacked, or someone can look at it.
Is it the same as like Dropbox? Is it cloud-based services?
These are all cloud-based services where you're entrusting some other entity to manage your personal information. Right. Now you have employees who work for these companies. What if there's a rogue employee going into the databases and looking at your information? Right. Okay.
So it's centralized, and all kinds of things can happen.
And all kinds of things happen
when things are centralized.
Now, storage is decentralized. Same concept.
Okay, and it's based on a blockchain.
Based on a blockchain. Okay. Now my information is decentralized, meaning that if a couple of nodes go down, I still have access to it.
Wow.
And also, every time I make a commitment to put information on this particular cloud storage blockchain, I can always go back in time and see the history of my transactions.
Okay, and storage is new. Is storage like kind of is it? So how do you invest in storage? Is it on? So okay, really quickly. So I just want to back up and say,
sure.
If someone wanted to go on and I guess see what the market is doing in blockchain and or crypto, where do they go?
Good sites. One is called CoinMarketCap. One good site, CoinMarketCap.com. LiveCoinWatch.com. And these are good sites just to see activity surrounding different cryptocurrencies.
Okay. All right, great. Okay. So when you mention a company like Storage, I guess, how did you invest in storage? How would I be able to go and invest in storage?
So let's say you know what, I'm going to take some of my dollars or euros or whatever fiat currency you have, and I want to buy some storage. You go to an exchange. So some popular exchanges, just like an exchange, like if you went to E-Trade, or right? You can. So there's exchanges called Coinbase is an exchange.
Right.
There's an exchange called GDAX and Bitfinex. These are exchange.
Now, how do you Bitfinex? How do you spell that?
Well, Bit and then Fin and then EX.
Okay.
And the whole idea there is that these exchanges allow you to take your dollars or euros or even other cryptocurrencies to exchange or purchase other cryptocurrencies.
I see. Okay. So I could actually take a US dollar, right? Yep. And go onto Coinbase and then exchange my US currency to purchase shares and or coins in these different cryptocurrencies.
In these different cryptocurrencies.
Right. So a company like Storage, do they have a coin?
They have a coin.
Storage has a coin. Okay.
It's a acronym, I believe, STORJ. But let me emphasize that, again, we're not giving any financial investment advice.
Of course.
But the key is with all these things is do your own research.
Do your own research. And again, so I know, and before you've also mentioned when you research a company, see who's behind the coin. See if it's of a reliable source. See if the coin is solving a major problem. Right. I know you've mentioned that before. Like if a coin is solving, is providing sharecroppers with the ability to cut out the middle person. Well, that might be a viable coin.
That may be a viable coin.
It's solving a
It's
larger issue.
It's solving a lot of problems. A lot of these coins are meant to get the middleman out of the process.
Right.
The coins are there. There's blockchain technologies out there to try to solve the supply chain issue. Right. Your health medical records. Right. Wouldn't you want to be in control of that information?
As opposed to living in some centralized place where anyone can access your private healthcare records.
Right. So there's a lot of great use cases for using, again, blockchain technology. The one use case where it gets the most fanfare is Bitcoin and payments and money transfers, remittances.
Right. But that blockchain has use
cases
in almost any way. So the question, do you have to purchase crypto to invest in blockchain?
Not necessarily. Right? There are companies out there on the public, NASDAQ and other more popular exchanges that are making investments into blockchain technology. You can invest in them to get exposure to blockchain. Right? So there's different...
So I haven't heard this. This is news to me. I thought that... So I was under the impression that you had to purchase crypto in order to invest in blockchain.
That is typically the mechanism to do that, yes.
Okay.
But there's other ways to also invest in the technology.
Okay.
Right? So you can invest in technology because maybe there's a bank that's makes an announcement, doing a huge investment in the technology. And they think that by making this investment, they're going to reduce their cost by, say, 30%.
Okay.
Okay.
So what do you say in response to, there's a lot of people who may be listening to today's podcast, and I'm sorry if we geeked out a little bit. We kind of geeked out a little bit just now. I hope that we didn't geek out too much and we still have your attention. But what would you say to people who don't believe in Bitcoin, who don't believe in crypto?
I say to those people, there's a lot. Yes, there have been ICO scams, initial coin offering scams.
Right.
People have lost their money in investing in cryptocurrencies. But again, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't spend the time and effort to understand the technology, because the technology itself is not, in my opinion, is not going anywhere, and it's going to be used to replace a lot of the systems that we have in place today, so that we have better operational efficiencies.
Okay. All right. So say if one of our listeners, has $100, right? $100. They kind of want to be, put some skin in the game. What would you tell them? How could they get involved with $100?
Take a couple of weeks, research cryptocurrency projects out there. Find something that you want to join this community because you think you're solving a real problem.
Right. So you would tell them to go to Coin Market Cap, go to Live Coin Watch, look at maybe the top
10, top 50, click around, read the websites, look at the team, and see if you become passionate about a project.
Right. Then you can go to YouTube, see some videos. You can actually do a search on YouTube for that specific coin that you saw on coin market cap.
Coin,
right?
Right.
And then, become informed.
Because, look, even though, it's only $100, it's still your money.
No, absolutely. And then you go to Coinbase to exchange that $100 to purchase that particular coin that you're interested in.
Yes.
Any other advice? Because I know that you've given me more advice on how to look at a coin in terms of how many coins are trading.
So the key metrics there is that you have this idea of a total supply.
Right.
So typically when a project starts, they say that we're going to allocate this much supply of coins. Okay?
A finite amount.
A finite amount. We're not going to create any more than this. Okay? So, that's 100% of the total coins ever be created for the length forever. They have this concept of a circulating supply. The coins are actually being exchanged in the marketplace. They're being used.
Right.
Either by money transfers or being used throughout the, in the system itself. The higher that value is, it can have a major effect on the market cap.
On the value of the actual coin. Right.
So the value of the coin, typically the metric that's used is called the market capitalization.
Which applies to the
stocks,
the stock exchange. Everyone has a market cap. Right?
Everyone has a market cap. Okay. Typically, now one of the reasons why Bitcoin grew so fast is because it had relatively had a very tight circulating supply.
Right.
Right. So as the demand increased and the supplies, the value went up.
Right.
There's a lot of projects where they have a very vast circulating supply.
Like Ripple.
Right.
Ripple is, I don't even know what that number is. I can't even count that number anymore. It's like beyond, I don't know. I don't count that high. So
Right. So it's quite high. So when you take that and the price is trading at, its market cap is still big, but if you make an investment, it may take a long time for that to appreciate. For that money you invested to appreciate, like say to a value where you think like I really made a killing.
Yeah.
So again, if you're gonna come into this trying to make a quick buck, that is the wrong.
It's not really it. But can someone get rich? Like, so say for instance, like I want to, we all want to be rich. So how do we get rich? Like, how do we?
You can get rich
in early.
Right. So you can get rich doing so many things. But again, if you spend the time to educate yourself, and you invest early in the coin as the project has just been introduced to the marketplace, and you're one of the first stakeholders as the project.
So as soon as they raise an ICO.
So there's websites out there where you can track ICOs.
Okay.
Just
do you know any of those websites that you?
ICO
and an
tracker.
ICO is an initial coin offering.
It's an initial coin offering.
Right.
So the long and short of an ICO is that it's a mechanism for projects to accrue funds to actually develop the project.
So it's the equivalent of an IPO.
It's equivalent of the IPO.
So when Snapchat went public, right?
They
raised the IPO.
Yes.
Right. So an
Similar
ICO,
concept.
same concept, but it's
applied to crypto.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Now, typically in ICOs, they give the early adopters, stakeholders, a discount.
With anticipation that eventually that once released to the public, the value of that particular stock and or coin will increase, and you would have had a benefit to have gotten in early.
Yes.
Okay. I get that concept. Okay. And so that's how you can essentially get rich, right? You can basically, if you get in early enough, if you can track and figure out when an ICO is coming and you get in early,
you potentially can make money. Another way is that let's step back and think about the .com era. So when when the internet was exploding and all these different websites, only a handful of them really survived. Amazon, eBay, Now, Apple, if you would have invested early then
Right.
in those companies,
Right. Be out of here.
we probably wouldn't be having this conversation.
Right. I wouldn't be able to find you.
Right. Right. So
Right.
not only, it's not, yes, you want to get in early, but more importantly, you want to find what you think is the right project. Because only a certain number of them
because out of 1,300 currencies that are now being traded on
right.
this live coin watch, only maybe 10 are going to make it.
10 maybe, right? Now, if you pick one or two, and maybe in 5 to 10 years, knowing that the technology itself will, supplant whatever's in existence today. So thinking with that thought process, the value of the coin will go up because more and more people hear about it in the news. They're using it.
Exactly.
I go to my local pizza shop, Chinese shop. And
right. And you're able to purchase, some kind of product or food or whatever it is with this coin.
Right.
And as that gains in popularity, as more transactions occur, the transaction is what makes the value of the coin go up.
Well, the more transactions, the more usage, the value of the actual asset will go up. Right? And then maybe
we'll get rich.
Maybe.
What's the point, right? All right, cool. And I know that you've spoken about Tangle and all these other things as well. But I think that might be enough for right now, and just to make that somewhat digestible. And Jude, I think that you're an amazing. I think you're an amazing person, and also you're a unicorn. You are. So smart and so well read. I'd love to have you back to discuss an array of other topics, because you and I kind of see eye to eye on a lot of things, and I would love to kind of bounce ideas off of you, because we always have such a nice exchange. So, but in the interim, thanks for coming on. I hope that the audience, we went a little bit long today, but I think that this was good stuff. Hopefully you did too. And until next time.
Thank you.
This podcast was brought to you by 23DB Productions, ID Productions, and One of One Productions. For more information, go to Facebook and Instagram, Unexpected Success with Joy.